for midsegment of a trapezoid, the midsegment of a trapezoid connects the midpoints of the legs. So this is like the midpoint of this leg, this is the midpoint of BC, and the line that connects those two midpoints together is called the midsegment. So if EF is the midsegment of the trapezoid ABCD, then AB, so segment AB, is parallel to segment EF, which is parallel to segment DC. Okay, so all three of these are parallel to each other. Also, the midsegment EF equals segment AB plus segment DC divided by 2. So I think of it as like the average of the bases. Base 1, base 2, add those together and divide by 2. So it says here, use the trapezoid above in the definition. So we're going to, for this problem, we're going to use this picture. If AB is 14 and DC is 26, find the measure of EF. Well, AB and DC are the bases, right? To get the bases, or to get the midsegment, we add the bases and we divide by 2. So that would be 40 divided by 2, which is 20. Okay, now in part B, same idea. We have AB is 7, DC is 31. So we add and divide by 2. And we get 38 over 2, which is 19. Okay, so average of the bases. In letter C, QR is the midsegment of the trapezoid LMNP. So I'm going to take the top base plus the bottom base divided by 2. And that equals the midsegment, which is x plus 2. So here I would combine like terms, so 4x minus 8 divided by 2 equals x plus 2. I then would multiply both sides by 2 and cancel out the 2. So at this point, when I multiply both sides by 2, I would distribute this 2 to both of those terms and get 4x minus 8 equals 2x plus 4. And most of that could be mental math. So we could subtract the 2x and get 2x, add the 8 to the 4 and get 12. And so in this case, our x is 6. But it asks us for QR, and so QR was x plus 2. So if I wanted to plug that x, which is 6, into x, we get 8. Okay, so in letter D, we have kind of the same setup. Your average of your bases, so 10 plus the 8x minus 12, which is your average. So add your x, or add your bases, divide by 2, and then that equals the midsegment, 2x plus 11. So for this, I would go ahead and combine the like terms at the top. Okay, and then you could think of this as a different way. You could think of like, well, since these are divisible by 2, I could divide that and get 4x plus minus 1, or I could multiply both sides by 2 still. So in this case, either way would work. And as if I look over here, same thing. We could have cut those in half and then set equal to x plus 2. So we're going to do that this time. So if I say that this is 4x minus 1, and then I have 2x plus 11, I would subtract my 2, add my 1, and x would be 6. Okay, so to find mn, I plug it back into the 2x plus 11. So 2 times 6 plus 11 gives me 12 plus 11, which is 23. Okay, and then lastly, for LAMB is an isosceles trapezoid. Okay, so we know that if it's an isosceles trapezoid, this side is congruent to this side. Okay, so it does look like it cut off the letters. So let's put our letters here, M and B. So B and then M. And it says it wants to find the angle M. So one of the properties of an isosceles trapezoid was that the opposite angles are supplementary. So 180 minus 74 is 106. Okay. Now, it asks us for LX, so that's the same as 12. LB would be 12 plus 12, so 24. And then it asks us for the midsegment, XY. So I'm going to call this X and say the average of the bases, so 42 plus 68 divided by 2 is 110. I divide that by 2, I get 55. Okay.